we flip things around, and rather than writing a talk or creating an experience from me to you, from what seems like outside of you, which we know is never true, is it? Because it always comes from us and it's always in the space among us. But this is the Sunday that we get to play with it literally being directly from your mouth into this sanctuary. So it's Q&A Sunday, which is a fun time to play. I want to invite up my dear friend, Reverend Brenda Ehret. She serves at Unity of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We've been in ministry about 12 years together in Unity. I know. I was talking to someone at conference this week who had been in ministry for 30 years and 40 years, and they said something about how long I've been in it, and I said, 12 now, which seems like that's something. We survived 12 years so far.
We thrived.
We thrived 12 years. She's a wordsmith, always doing that. So we went to school together. We lived in what we called the Goddess House, which was right here on grounds behind the Unity pool. And we were roomies, that weren't meant to be together because we both, well, actually it's the opposite of that, right? But we both got kind of kindly kicked out of our places that we were supposed to be in. Good friends that thought, there's too many people for this place, so find another room for that one. And so she got moved over there, and then I got moved over there, even though there were no rooms left. They told me there are no rooms left, and they said, but we're going to squeeze you in somewhere, and I think you're going to like this, one of these women that we're putting you with. And it turned out that I got the living room, which was pretty schwank for me. It was like a little studio apartment. But anyway, that's the long way of saying that we went to ministerial school together. So today is about your questions. So if you haven't written one yet, and we have some live streamers that may be putting questions in, anything that you want to know about Unity, anything that you would like to have community support in your spiritual practice, anything that's challenged you, anything that is up for you. So today is the day, and you can at any time write that. Our ushers are here, and they'll bring baskets, and we have one so far. And what I'll do is just leave this up here, so if anyone wants to courageously come and put another one in there. But we'll go ahead and get started. Are you ready? You didn't know you were writing the talk today, but you are. All right. What does being kind mean to you, and how do you adopt it into your everyday life? What does being kind to you mean? Well, one of my favorite things, we just got back from our Unity People's Conference, which is open to everyone. It was in San Antonio this year. And for me, by far, the highlight was the keynote speakers. And there was one there, Father Gregory Boyle, and he said something about kindness and tenderness is the highest form of spirituality. And that really hit me. Do you want to give this one a shot, Brenda? What does being kind mean to you? And how I can already feel you going for metaphysical boom, boom. I just got that.
Actually, what came... Thank you. Actually, what came is being present to the person I am with and seeing them. That feels like kindness to me.
That's good. I was thinking of some things about, how sometimes, and even being Father's Day, you talked about tough love, that sometimes kindness can be not enabling things that are not helpful to any of us. That can be a high form of kindness that sometimes doesn't always look like kindness. And then I was thinking to myself, I think one of the things that I do that is a kindness practice is that really, no matter what goes on in the surface in the human condition, no matter what it is, deeply below that, I always trust someone's soul and the beauty and perfection of their soul and the love that they are, no matter how something shows up. So for me, that is one of my spiritual kindness practices, just to know that even as odd and ugly as the human condition can seem sometimes, and interactions can seem in a real tangible form, for me, it's always knowing that under all that is perfect love and beauty and kindness. And so it's that kind of greeting from heart to heart. All right.
Is there a question you are hoping won't get asked? If so, comma, what is it? And consider it this being asked.
I can tell you my most disliked question in ministerial school and everything, because they feel like it's one of the most challenging, but it's with our principles about metaphysics and drawing to us experiences, or that the law that shows thoughts held in mind create after their kind. One of my least favorites has always been, really, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do horrors happen? Why do atrocities happen? That has always been something that is not on my love that question list.
I thought your least favorite question was, what is evil?
Well, okay.
Which is one of the first questions you got in your first L&O session. Actually, this thought crossed my mind earlier this morning, so thank you, whoever picked up on that vibe.
Are you going to confess what you're
Yes, I am.
And for me, the evil thing is an absence of light. It's not a power. It's when there's an absence of light, when we're not cashing in on the light that's all around.
We spent a lot of late night hours debating that question. Mm-hmm. The question that crossed my mind this morning is, what do we do with, how do we show up in our current political climate? That's the question that I was hoping no one would ask. Good. Is that your question?
And they said just consider.
How did I know this was you?
Consider it asked, but I don't know that it said you have to answer it. No, just kidding.
Well, actually, my brief answer is, I deal with it every day and have conversations with congregants every week about it. And what I keep coming home to is divine strength, living by spiritual character, and being grounded and anchored in the presence. And you'll have to remind me which keynote it was this week. I think it was Sharif Abdullah. He talked about, and Barbara Marks Hubbard teaches the same thing. They talk about, for every breakthrough, a breakdown must occur in order to get to the next system, the next level. And so personally, that's my mantra. I'm watching the breakdown, and I'm also eager to see the breakthrough unfold, because it will be significant.
And I would add to that, how do we show up in this climate? I would add, as metaphysicians, as clearly conscious bearers of light, and as people of action that take our spiritual practice into action. And also from that space that we talked about before, of knowing and beholding the truth in everyone. So I have very different views from one of my neighbors, and I had this most just beautiful time planting my garden with him. And it was just beautiful and loving. And he was so cute, and he said, let's not start talking about any of that stuff, or we'll be wrestling on the front lawn. But I was like, he mows my lawn, and I love him. So I think we show up consciously with our practice. Does one have to believe in God in order to get benefit from unity principles? For example, if an atheist or an agnostic came to UVC, what would you recommend to them first? The first thing I would recommend, and I adore this question, the first thing I would recommend to an atheist or an agnostic is to start hearing beyond the word God. Just take it out. If it's a trigger, honor that, be with that, and just remove it, and then see what's there. And my answer is absolutely yes. Unity principles are of benefit, because unity principles teach us to seek directly and to go beyond the paradigms of definitions that human beings create, because I truly believe that any of the definitions that we create will limit what our concept of God is. So say love. Do you believe in love? One of my favorite weddings I did, they were atheist / agnostic / some sort of, well, the dog was named Buddha, and Jewish descent. And they said, you know, I'd like you to do our wedding, but you know how we are, and blah, 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 blah. And so we went to, like, what do you believe in? Do you believe in love? How does that feel? And every time that I would have said God, I said love. Does that at all offend or diminish a consciousness of God? Absolutely not. Can electricity be used if you don't understand how it works? Can electricity be used if you don't believe in it? Is gravity working for anyone that doesn't believe in gravity? Is science real even when we don't believe in it? Yeah, I mean, all of this works because these are spiritual principles, just like laws of physics and metaphysics, laws of science. Yes, it works, and there is nothing to feel guilty about that. In fact, I think you are some of the pioneers that will bring an authentic form of spirituality onto this planet in a way that feeds a lot of people and helps them get connected with the universal life source that is sourcing their being. So I would say let go of the idea that you need to define it and just experience what you experience. That's great. All right, come on up, Tracy. We have one from one of our live streamers. Give it up for Tracy, our social media guru.
So, for Reverend E and Reverend Brenda, today, this Sunday, my question is, and this is from Marianne, is Unity Worldwide Leadership also embracing the New Thought Association movement, or is it just individual Unity communities?
Excellent question. So I myself, and then also Jim Blake, who is the head of Unity headquarters, Unity here on grounds in the whole village, and also Donna Johnson, who is the head of Unity Worldwide Ministries. We all serve on the AGNT Council, which is the Association for Global New Thought. So we are all very unified in our vision of being bolder together. One of the things that happens, or has happened, is kind of our history in Unity, is that a lot of people don't know about it. But we have sister organizations that have different names, like Centers for Spiritual Living, which you may have also known as the religious science, Michael Beckwith's work with Agape, and others that have this same framework, this same expansive idea of God consciousness. And in the Parliament of World Religions on the year 2015, they officially kind of christened New Thought as being a world religion, like a box you can check to go, yep, that's what I am. And so, yes, we are unified in our vision of standing together and being bolder together and claiming that sisterhood or that brotherhood. All right.
Ooh, two good ones in a row. How do we balance doing things for others to love them? That's an interesting phrase. Doing things for others to love them. And love for yourself. Your dreams, my dreams. For me, the balance is about when we say doing things for others to love them, my mind goes to the 5 love languages, and one of the love languages is acts of service. So when I think about acts of service that I'm giving to someone or for someone, it really comes back to my intention. I am mindful of codependent. I want them to like me. I want them to love me. I want them to approve of me. In the other perspective or the other lens is, it's almost like I can't not do this for them. And balancing love acts of service for someone else and love for my own self comes back to a big measure of self-awareness, a big measure of boundary, and it's taken me a lot of years to get to the place where I can take care of myself and not have guilt around that, particularly as a minister. You know, the perception is we're 24/7, everywhere present, always available. And when I started setting some of those boundaries, and I'm a big solitude person and a big quiet silence person. And if I don't get that, then I'm not of service to anyone, my friends, my congregation. There's a little second part here. How do we express God love or spirit love or divine love in a visible way? It's a vibration, it's an energy, it's an intention, it's a way of being. It's, what was the affirmation that you had in the meditation about, I am a unique, remarkable expression of
God.
spirit? So I think we express God's love in a very visible way when we are authentically who we came here to be. I'm not going to let you answer that one. Higher and higher vibrations. To where? To what? Great question. You want to go first?
No, you go. I'm really busy.
Listen, Linda.
If you don't know what that is, there is this gorgeous video
A great YouTube
online
video.
of this beautiful little kid that's arguing with his mom about what he thinks should happen, and he
Listen,
keeps going,
Linda,
listen,
listen."
Linda, listen. And then they keep interrupting each other. And
Higher and higher vibrations. A lot of me sees source, life, love, law, mind, principle, God, spirit, substance. It's pure energy. It's a pure vibration. So I have a congregant. I used to talk about, lifting our thoughts, higher awareness, higher consciousness. And she pulled me aside one day and said, I like to think of all of that as deeper awareness, deeper consciousness, deeper vibration. And so for me, the higher vibration is a higher, deeper knowing and awareness that I literally am life in expression, spirit in expression, to the level of my awareness, to the level of my consciousness. I don't know about you, but you know how you have breakthroughs and awakenings? And my personal experience has been that I don't have a breakthrough or an awakening and then always just keep going up. Every once in a while I fall off the spiritual cliff, which brings about the most amazing breakthroughs and the most amazing awarenesses, life's challenges and I call them potholes and speed bumps and ditches, getting out of my lane and being in the ditch. Let's not lose those. Let's not fly over those, and let's not lose the awareness that life brings it, and as we move through it, not running away from it, not denying that it is happening or denying that it exists, but using our 12 powers, using principle, using divine law to move through those experiences and become that vibrant, awake, alive vibration that we came here to be.
all right, so we're going to do speed round in a second.
Okay.
I think we should almost have someone get a timer and see who can get through their questions in a minute.
Okay. Who has a timer?
Here's one right before we do speed round.
What's our speed round?
Because I think
3
we're going to be able
minutes?
to get
2
through all.
minutes?
No, one.
Did you divide
only-
these up? You picked the ones you wanted?
They're not all long ones or short ones. I did a balance. I
What was
took
that
all
first-
the ones I wanted, and I gave you the rest. I'm
What
just
was
kidding.
that first question about kindness?
Listen, Linda.
Okay.
Okay, so here's one before we get to that. One says, why is Unity changing so much since the separation from the Unity school? I don't have a lot of background on the depth of your question, but as far as Unity shifting, there have been a lot of shifts always going on with the organizations, and Unity Unity Worldwide Ministries is moving onto grounds physically here in August. They'll be here on the Unity grounds, and so that's a great shift. There's a building down the street. There's two different buildings, and so a lot of the operations will be, smooth and everyone here on campus. But as far as the shift, there's no separation. There's kind of individuation as far as the roles. So just like our spiritual centers are individual bodies, they govern themselves. And just like I say here, we recreate service every Sunday. We recreate spiritual community every Sunday. And Unity, whereas in other places, they source pods of centers, from the headquarters down, they create them, and we do have programs for that. But there's a lot of independence in Unity, and so there's a lot of people doing their expertise in their area. But as far as there being a separation, there's not. The school itself has gone back and forth in hands as far as governance since really the school began. So sometimes it's been run by Unity headquarters, sometimes it's been run by UWM, and so those shifts happen. And then, of course, there's been a lot of changes on grounds over the years. There used to be a huge apple orchards and farms, and this used to be a spiritual retreat center for everyone that was coming down from Kansas City. The publishing department, the education department, there's always a lot of shifts. And so I think shifts always happen, just like there's always changes in our own lives, and then we stand in that space of going, come on, bring on some more good changes, and I think we've got a lot of good ones going on.
Yeah, that's when I say there's a reason we're called the Unity Movement. It's not status quo, it's evolving.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank
Will you
you.
sit in the front for us?
We have 1
All right.
minute.
Did you
Is that
start it
true?
already? Oh my goodness.
Wait, hold the
Okay,
phone. Okay,
this is really serious.
I'm
What
terrified.
does the winner get? Okay, me first. What is silent unity and how does it interact with the chapel? Silent unity is the amazing prayer consciousness that has been at Unity from the beginning, and they pray with you 24/7. There's a beautiful space where there's someone always, or usually two people, in meditation, and their interaction with the chapel is that they receive our prayers and they hold spiritual consciousness for our entire movement and for anyone that calls. No, we go through all of ours. Electricity. Please define divine power versus political power. Divine power is existent and complete and 100% within everyone. Political power is something that can be taken by domination and by coercion and by human force, and that has nothing to do with spiritual power, though you could have political power and have a mighty amount of spiritual power, and that's what I'm envisioning for our world. What are the principles of unity? First one, God is. There's one power and one presence. I am. You are a unique, unrepeatable expression of that, and the divine is within you. The law of mind action, meditation, affirmation, prayer. Am I already out? And action. And thoughts held in mind. Did I say the law of mind action? Meditation. Yeah, I got them. Okay, I have 2 left. I did 3.
Give me a minute 30. What is an affirmation? One of my very favorites. An affirmation is a statement of truth. It begins with the word I, and it ensues with present tense, not I will, I am. And it's a statement of not so much pie in the sky, what we want to occur. My first lesson in affirmations was all around prosperity. I am a living, moving machine of substance. That's an affirmation. How to feel God is with me. What a great question. I asked that for years and years when I first got in Unity. For me, the primary connection is breath. It's really tough to put to words, how to feel God is with me. God isn't just with me, God is within me, God is all around me, and I guess I feel it by looking for it. and I feel it by knowing that it is present. How to feel more whole with life decisions. I'll assume that more whole means more comfortable and more at peace. Life decisions are made through wisdom, our divine power of wisdom. I know that I know that I know. So do a gut check.
I think we're
One
tied.
left.
I think we're tied. I had one left too.
Why do you have 3 pieces of
Because
paper in
these
your
are
hand?
extras. I saved one as a grand
Listen,
finale.
Linda, there is a verse or two in the Hebrew scriptures that say God creates good and evil or something to that effect. What would Unity's take on that be? Verse in the Hebrew scripture says God creates good and evil. Give me a sec. So one of my favorite questions is, what does God do all day? God thinks. And God thinks through us. And we have the lens that names what we think, what we do, what we see, what other people think and do. Personally, I'm not so convinced that God creates either good or evil. God thinks, we live it, and we create the experience of it. We name the experience of it.
I want to keep talking, but I'm not going to. Okay, here's one more. This was my last one. And we have one more from the live streamers. Do you have a support group for those going through divorce? So, the answer is yes and yes. One of our support groups is called Spiritual Support for Turbulent Times. Anyone feeling like there's some turbulent times going on in their lives and would like support? This group is for you.
Wow,
If
what
you're-
an advanced congregation.
Yeah,
No
nobody-
one has experienced
turbulent
turbulence.
times. So for anyone going through relationship things, anyone going through a healing experience, anyone that is caring for someone that's at home or caring for someone that's in hospice, caretakers, anyone that has had a death or health challenge recently, anything that you feel, if you just feel traumatized by life and what's going on, if you're depressed and you're stuck, we have a spiritual support group, and it's spiritual support in turbulent times. And so you can find out more about that on the website. And if the time doesn't work for you and there's a desire for other groups, you just email the office and we'll take a look at that. And then also, anyone that's been divorced, here's your support group. So I think if you look around and you talk, you have a support group. Anyone that's been married and never been divorced, there's your support group that shows you what's possible. And both sides. And so a shout out to whoever wrote this. I just want you to know that I see you, those sitting around you see you, and you are heroic and doing incredible energy work right now. So just know that you're safe here and you're loved.
And fully supported.
Yeah. Okay. Tracy.
All right. How does one deal with depression and feeling alone?
Okay. How does one deal with depression and feeling alone? Let me take depression and you take feeling alone. Just for grins. And the reason I so enthusiastically raised my hand to how do you deal with depression? How do you live with depression? Because I live with depression, and I'm glad that someone asks about it, and I'm glad to be able to talk about it because mental health is the elephant in the room that doesn't get discussed a lot. One can deal with depression by not running away from it, by not denying that it is happening and it is going on. Spiritual support is essential, and I have a very strong spiritual support system that I avail myself of. And I also take medication because sometimes when you're in depression, you can't even see it, and you don't know you're in depression. And when life is so foggy and our decisions are so foggy and our ability to function on a day-to-day basis is so foggy, what I say about that is, like my husband would say, there's a reason God invented doctors. So there is help in a medical way, there is help in a spiritual way, and lots of going within an inquiry about it. What is the darkness about? I'm not afraid of the dark, so I go there. Tell us about your views on alone. I love alone, so because I'm a solitude person.
Yes, and I love my alone time. I've always fiercely loved my alone time, but I think that that's very different from loneliness and feeling lonely. And I think one of the first things is to honor what is. And we are pack animals. We are community beings, human beings, right? That is part of, if you do studies on cats and dogs, like dogs are pack animals. Cats can be, very much on their own. They can go through, on their own. And yes, we have introverts and extroverts and people that like more people or time and some people that just like their pets and don't like people. But we are community beings, and we are in an interesting place as we create. We have, I think, to some degree, unconsciously created community. So I have heard of conscious communities actually redesigning their downtowns, their community centers because of depression, because of loneliness, so that there is more interaction, so that it is more natural and easier for people to walk upon each other, to be a part of each other's lives. So I think one of the first things is to just recognize that where you are doesn't feel necessarily harmonic with where our society and what our society is culturally creating for connections and for feeling connected if you're not in a traditional relationship or a traditional family structure, which most of us know that even if you're in that, life changes. People pass, children grow up, and there are shifts to that. And so you will at some point in your life, no doubt, find yourself in a different situation. So one is to become active in our world and start having conversations about what we think we really need and what really nurtures our whole nature. The other thing, I think, is to reach out and let people know. Brenda was just sharing a story with me about Merriman and Morrissey, who had shared a story about a neighbor moving into the neighborhood, and she just came out the front door, saw this woman, and said,
ran across the street, ran up and said, "Hi, my name is Mary, and I've been so lonely looking for a friend. You are my new best friend." And that was, I think she said 30 some years ago.
yeah. So if you see someone in the grocery store out sitting next to you that you think looks like someone that you would get along with, reach out. Who cares if you get rejected? That's not anything to worry about, but reach out and make connections, because 9 times out of 10, there's a best new friend that's sitting right next to you, and you have no idea. We can take a year or 2 years to get to know the people that we're around. Even at conference, we were saying so many people have social anxiety and don't connect, but think about if you could be the one that just breaks the ice. The person sitting next to you could need your friendship more than you even need theirs. So as far as that, those are the two physical aspects. And then spiritually, I think that start believing in the possibility of energy and more than meets the eye. And start to recognize and start to invite in the possibility and the experience that you're never alone. That in fact, that there's a little party going on around you, and that there are energies, you can call it whatever you want, but there is an unseen world that is just beyond the fabric of the eye. And start inviting in that acknowledgement, that conversation, and allow yourself to feel supported by that, to expand the practice of knowing that yes, Source, God, is everywhere present, and also Spirit informs, and in energies of support and light and beings are always present.
I live in a friendly, I live in a friendly universe, affirmation. I am fully supported. I am wholly loving and wholly lovable. I am a mighty, mighty people magnet, attracting beloveds to myself and to my life. There's some affirmations about wholeness and connection.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is reach out, because people can't help you if they don't know you need connection, right? If we don't say it and we don't speak it, like the courage to speak and to share, then we could be sitting next to someone that has no idea, and we have no idea that our buddy is right there. So thank you for this Sunday. We had one more question. It's about the ego. We'll be answering it online after the service, so check out the Facebook page. Happy Sunday. Thanks for writing the talk. Good on ya.